Hiya, I'm Carly from Kip McGrath in Carlisle, and today we are looking at timesing and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000. So when you start off with something like this, we would start off by talking about, okay, what's 5 times 10? So 5 times 10 is 50. 7 times 10 is 70. So children will get into the habit and they will say that we add a 0, which generally works if it's a number that is a whole number. If it's a decimal, it's not going to work because adding a 0 doesn't achieve anything. It doesn't change the value of any of the numbers, okay? So we try to steer away from that, but we do talk about adding a 0 sometimes because children find it easy to understand. So what we're actually doing is we're changing the place value of everything. So if we're timesing by something, we're making everything bigger. So when we're making things bigger, everything's moving to the left. When we're making things smaller, everything's moving to the right in terms of numbers. Now this is where it gets confusing because there's actually 2 different methods. And so the different methods are kind of contradictory. So it's a case of finding a method or finding out what method they use at school and sticking to that method. Okay, so this side over here, if we were to times by 10, what we'd be saying is the decimal point is currently invisible and it's here. When we're timesing by 10, everything's getting bigger. So to make things bigger using this method, to times using this method, we're going to go this way. Okay, so we're going to move our decimal point one place this way and pop in a 0. So when we've times by 10, we get 760. Again, if I was timesing this one by 10, decimal point is moving one place this way to here. So we've got 9. We would explain that we don't need that 0 anymore because we don't write 0, 9, we would just write 9. So timesing on this method, our numbers are going that way. If we were to times by 100 rather than 10, I would say to the children, okay, well when we times by 10, we moved one place because there's 1 0. On this one, there's 2 zeros, so I moved 2 places. So 1, 2 this time. So now I have 7,600. This one, 1, 2. So now I have 90. 1,000, we're timesing by 1,000. We're going to move our decimal point 3 places. So 1, 2, 3. So 76,000. This one, 1, 2, 3. So now we're on 900. So when we've done our timesing, everything is the decimal point. So on this version, it's the point that's moving. Okay. And we can do it the same the other way around. So this time we're dividing. So when we're dividing, on this version, we go that way because we're making the number smaller. Okay, so if I was to divide by 10, it's still one place. So the decimal point is moving one place that way to make it 7.6. Divide by 100, 2 places, 1, 2. So it becomes 0.76. 3 places, 1, 2, 3, 0.076. Okay, so we're moving our decimal point on this version. We're moving the point and it's going that way. On this one, we're going to move it one place from here. So that 0.09 is divided by 10. So one place dividing by 100. 1, 2, 0.009. And dividing by 1,000, we're going to move 3 places. So 1, 2, and 3. 0.0009. Okay, so dividing on this version, we're going point move left, timesing point move right. This one is kind of the opposite. It possibly looks like more work to start with, but it helps children understand the concept a bit more of what they're doing. So when they're timesing by 10, everything is getting bigger. So what was a 10 is becoming 100. So for example, when we times this by 10, we would tell them to move it along one column or one of the place values to become 230. So that's timesing by 10. Timesing by 100, we move it 2 places. So the 2 was there, so it's going to be 1, 2. So this time we're moving the numbers left when we're timesing. So it's the exact opposite, but we're moving our numbers this time. And that is effectively what we want them to understand, that it's the numbers that are getting bigger. So actually this point version possibly is a bit confusing, but a lot of them will have seen it so many times that it might be better to stick with what they know. This, if it's the first time, is probably the better way to explain something. So the numbers are getting bigger. So if they're getting bigger, they go left. So bigger, go left, okay? And again, if you were doing it by 1,000, we'd just move them again. I haven't included my columns there because my board isn't that big. Okay, if for example on that one we were dividing, just find a little bit more room if I can. So we're dividing by 10, so everything's moving the other way. So we'll divide by 10, we're going to move everything down one. So that one's going to move to here, 3 is going to move to here. So nothing changes order, there's no extra gaps, there's nothing like that. The numbers are just shuffling and zeros fill any gaps that we leave when we move them, but we move everything together, So dividing by 10 is 2.3. Dividing by 100, we're going to have the 2 and then the 3. So we're going to have to pop a 0 in there. That's another point of learning. When we've got a decimal point, we can't just leave it blank in front of it, we've got to put a 0 in there. Okay, so that's how we would times or divide by 100. On this one, when we go right, we're getting smaller, so we go right. Okay, if we had a decimal number, the effect is the same. To get bigger, we shift that way. So times 10, 67. And if we divide, we go the other way. So we move the 6 and the 7 there. Okay, so it is a little bit confusing. There are 2 different methods, but try and find out from them which version they've seen. And if they haven't, then great, you can show them this version. Think about the concept of we are getting bigger, 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger, or 10 times smaller, 100 times smaller. This is really crucial for all kinds of different things, so it's really important they get this clear. Okay, if anybody's got any questions, or if they've been shown a different way, give me a shout. Thanks.